Welcome to the Mom Needs a Moment podcast. We're your hosts, Chrissy
and Cindy,
co-founders of Her Health Collective.
We are two moms obsessed with revolutionizing the way moms take care of themselves. We are so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Maintaining a respectful and harmonious long-term relationship takes a lot of work. Communication struggles are typically the number one challenge those in a long-term partnership will face. Adrienne Alden is a licensed marriage and family therapist with a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. She has worked for years with couples in relational distress. Her hope for therapy is to help clients see their part in troublesome relational patterns and to discover a new way of engaging. She uses a collective approach with clients, combining attachment and psychodynamic theory and mindfulness. Adrienne is experienced in working with communication struggles, high conflict couples, mismatched libidos, pelvic and genital pain disorders, premature ejaculation, delayed or difficulty with orgasm, erectile dysfunction, trauma recovery, life transitions, affair recovery, eating disorders, parenting adolescence, family of origin exploration, religious and spiritual exploration, gender role exploration, cultural influence, and sexual orientation questioning. In part one of our conversation today with Adrienne, we explore some of the common issues found in long-term partnerships and dive into various communication strategies that couples can implement to strengthen their relationship. If you are in any kind of long-term partnership, this is a conversation you will not want to miss.
Adrienne, it has been a really long time since we've seen you and connected with you. We're so excited to have you on the podcast and to pick your brain. You share with everybody in 2 minutes who you are, what you do. I know this is a lot of pressure, what your current struggles might be in life. Just give it to us. 2 minutes.
I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad you guys are in the community talking about this stuff. And I'm so glad to hear that you guys are growing and have members and engagement. It's such an important resource. I work with individuals and couples talking about families and relationships, and I have a special interest in sexual health. So I talk to couples and individuals about this. I think there's sort of an idea that if you have a couples problem, like only the couple goes to couples therapy. Ideally, yes, but individuals come all the time and talk about, how do I talk to my partner about this problem, or what even is going on? Let me tell you these stories. You tell me what you think is going on. I deal with health problems that might affect relationships and sexuality, talking to people about how to talk about sex with their families, with each other.
Very important. Very important. And it's things that have changed over the years. No longer are people learning about sex from, what were they, Harlequin sex novels or romance novels? It's more involved. What you do is extremely important. And I've actually used you as a resource myself. So I will get into that later.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong with a good sexy novel every once in a while.
Right, I know.
Okay, totally. Adrienne, this is one of our favorite parts. We are going to have you just pick a number 1 through 10, and I'm going to randomly throw a question at you. It's super fun, very lighthearted questions.
6.
Okay. Oh, okay. How good are you at trivia questions? And what trivia subject would you excel at?
Oh, this is a great question. I'm pretty good at trivia, very good at music and some pop culture stuff. I know music really well, so I can do that. I'm pretty good at history, but the sports stuff, I will kill it for you. You need somebody else to handle.
Oh, I was like,
I don't know.
I thought you meant you should be on my team. I was like, okay.
No.
I think Cindy and we've talked about this before, right? We both are awful and hate trivia.
It's not that I don't like it. It's that as soon as the question comes, my mind goes blank, even though I know it.
Yes.
It's like, and then I can't remember anything. But it's super fun.
Pressure thing. It is fun. And we do a lot of trivia with her health collective in her circle, but Cindy and I get to run it. So we don't actually have to answer the questions. We just look them up and have the answers in front of us. It's a whole different kind of fun.
More fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I agree. It is stressful especially when there's a time limit. We should make like a trivia where it's all day and you can amble around for a while you think of the answer.
I think it's a lot of like witty personalities, a quick brain that are very good at trivia. So it doesn't surprise me that you would be good at trivia.
Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me either. I'd have you on my team, one, because you're good, and two, because you probably work really well with us and just kind of offer suggestions and trigger my mind and make me feel better.
We'll have to try it sometime. I'll have to come to one of your trivias now that I know you're doing it.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun. I want to give a little bit of background on how we do know you. We've had the honor of working with you directly when the entire relationship restoration practice was on our 2020 Her Expert panel. And you all now, the entire practice, have a permanent place on our website's resource directory of providers. We love having you there. You do such important work. Needless to say, we fully support your work of helping others reach higher levels of connection and self-discovery, as well as the entire practice's goal of helping people improve their experience of relationships. In order to accomplish your goals, I assume that you've had to battle against the negative stigma that's attached to the type of therapy that you provide. And of course, mental health care in general. Will you share with our audience the type of services that you and the team at Relationship Restoration provide? And I thought it would also be fun to do some myth busting, meaning the common misperceptions that people, individuals, couples come with into sex therapy, couples therapy, etc. So I'll give a couple examples of the myth busting to kind of get us started. One is, you had mentioned this earlier, that my partner won't come to couples therapy and I won't be able to benefit from couples therapy alone. That's one myth that I've heard. Another that has been thrown around is throughout the whole pandemic period with the telehealth and teletherapy that they're less effective. That's another myth I've heard. Chrissy, have you heard of what myths have been? I'll toss the potato over to you.
Yeah. I mean, as you were talking, I immediately thought about the idea that therapy is just talking. We have this image of a person sitting on a couch, laying down, spilling all their worst secrets, but therapy is actually a lot more. It can involve a lot of different aspects. And also the idea that people who seek out therapy are sick or weak or crazy. That's so far from the truth.
Okay, we'll pass it to you. And
I think the first thing I just want to say, it might be obvious, but I think it's worth saying, if you're coming to see a sex therapist, you're not going to have sex at her office. No one's going to take their clothes off. Every once in a while, we get that. So just
seriously,
just
you do
that
get that
out
question.
There.
Okay.
Well, it's not necessarily a question. I mean, people sometimes come in really nervous, like, when do we get to the part where we have to do sexual things? And I'm like, we're not. I'm going to suggest things and you'll do that at home. So I do want to just put that out there, is you're not going to have sex. You're not going to have to do anything you don't want to do. You don't even have to talk about something that you don't want to talk about. You are in charge. We're all going to try and ask permission. Is it okay to talk about this? Can I say something hard? Is it okay to feel this much? We're going to go at your pace. So just want to throw that out there. There's a lot of consent and clothes are on.
So while it is more than talking, it does not involve sexual relations in the office, at least in your office.
Right. What you do in your office, have fun if it's consensual.
What are some other myths that you've heard? And what type of services does not only you, but the rest of your group, what else do they provide?
I think you guys named a lot of the common myths. We work a lot with any sort of relational issue. The main ones are, we're not communicating, we're fighting a lot. We get mismatched libidos as a common one. Other things are, just health problems that affect your life and affect your sex life. So things like pelvic pain, erectile struggles. A lot of bowel problems can obviously cause sexual issues. So just being able to create a space to understand what's going on and talk about it and get creative with workarounds around that kind of thing. But I would say the main thing is communication is what people show up in our office with. People just not hearing each other, listening, not knowing how to express themselves. And I think to talk about the therapy is just talking, sometimes people, because of their upbringing or lived experience or regulation habits, they're not in the place to know how to say things. And so sometimes you come for just a couple sessions and a therapist can say, look, here's how you could say this so that someone can hear you without being offended or going into a place of anger. Like, let me help you word this in a softer way. Or here's what I think you're trying to say. Let's try and get to that instead of blaming or accusations.
Right. Something that I've also heard quite a bit from people is they say, I don't need someone who doesn't know me hear my private matters and give me advice. And sex is very private. It's something that's you don't, not a lot of people feel comfortable opening up about. And so how do you tackle that?
So I would say that very dynamic is why therapy helps, because we are not in it. We are objective and on the outside looking in. I mean, there can be things that are potentially really clear and obvious and easy fixes to something. You just can't see it because you're in it every day. I go to therapy pretty regularly. And I do this for a living and I read all the books and go to the trainings. And sometimes my therapist says something simple to me and I'm like, oh, duh, I knew that. But you just can't see it when it's yourself. And so the fact that we don't know you, I think, is the thing that helps about it. But I hear that a lot, where people say, I don't need someone who doesn't know me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Having an objective outsider listen to it in a different way, listen to the situation in a different way. Something that I've heard, and I want to confirm this for all of our listeners, is that sex and relationship therapy is not only for the heteronormative clients. You see all, yeah. Okay. That's really important.
I'm so glad you said that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anybody, actually our tagline on the door sign is sex therapy for all in bold letters. Anybody, no matter what parts you got or want to have, or come on in.
This episode of Mama Needs a Moment is sponsored by Camp Gladiator. Camp Gladiator is a health and fitness platform for all ages and fitness levels. They provide workouts that are designed and trained by certified personal trainers, whether that is through their outdoor fitness platform, live online workouts, or through their on-demand library. They also have certified nutrition coaches and registered dietitians who offer nutrition coaching.
I love working out with Camp Gladiator and have been for almost a year now. I think one of the things I love most is the positive environment and community that not only works out together, but also becomes a family outside of camp while supporting and giving back to the community. CG members can participate in an unlimited number of workouts each month, and the super fun outdoor workouts include dumbbells along with other fitness toys, which are my favorite, the balls, the bands, the ropes, the fire hoses, so much fun. And the virtual workouts use dumbbells and other things that can be easily found around your home.
Camp Gladiator members have a primary trainer that will keep you motivated, accountable, and will be there to do all they can to help you get the most out of your fitness journey.
CG is also great for moms. I can't remember how many camps I've been to where I've seen moms with their children in tow, whether in a carrier, a stroller. Plus, you'll see older children working out alongside their parent, which is always awesome to see. Sometimes they even use their children as an extra weight or just to bring them into the movements because they want to.
They have an amazing number of workouts that are offered all throughout the day. You can catch outdoor and live online workouts from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. And the on-demand ones are available 24 hours a day. Anyone can join Camp Gladiator for a full week of free workouts. Get your free week using the link in the show notes.
I would love to go back to the communication piece because I think that it's essential, especially once any relationship has hit that long-term mark. Solid communication is the founding principle, right? It's what it's based on. It's vital to maintaining a healthy balance in any relationship. What are the biggest communication struggles you see emerge between partners, particularly those that have been together for a really long time?
I think the main things I see are simply, I'm oversimplifying it, but people sometimes are mean. They're just mean to their partners. And I think it's, how can you say what's going on in a way that's palatable for someone? And every complaint, there's probably a really valid need. So trying to get to, what do I need? And being able to say, I need some help with this, instead of you never fill in the blank. What is it that you need? So I think that's the main one. And I think in long-term relationships, something that gets people in trouble is there's a lot of assumptions. It's like, oh, I just know you. I know how you'll be. And there's not a dialogue about, maybe you've changed. Maybe I've changed. Maybe I used to like this and now I don't anymore. And we need to be able to talk through that, because we're all changing people. And it's a wonder to me that people can stay together for a long time, because we all change so much. You have to keep getting to know, who are you now?
Yeah, you have to
So
change together. Yeah. You mentioned people being mean, and I've seen that. I've been guilty of that, of being mean in my relationship. Why does that happen? Because thank you for saying that. When we first get together with someone, we're on our best behavior typically. We're extra nice. We're trying to put our best foot forward. When does that shift typically happen in a relationship, and why? Why does that occur?
That's an interesting question. I hadn't thought through that a lot. I mean, I think it really depends on the person and the situation, but I think people get comfortable, and sometimes there can be an assumption, I can say or do what I want, but we have to think about, in relationships, it's something relational, and there's reciprocity, and we have to think about, how does this affect another person? I often talk to people about thinking relationally. It's very easy to think about, what do I need and how are you affecting that? But how can we think about the interplay between multiple people? Because usually these things are some sort of infinity loop of things that are reacting off of each other.
Yeah, there's certain issues in almost every relationship that I know of that come up again and again, and it might wear different clothing. It might appear in a different way, but it's this theme that appears in a relationship again and again. And especially if it's not something that you speak about outright, if it's not something that you dive into together and communicate about.
Yeah.
How should a couple navigate communication struggles? Like what I just talked about, if there's something that keeps coming up repetitive over and over again, even if it looks a little different, it's the same kind of topic and idea. What do we do? How do we fix that? How do we navigate that?
Well, you're talking about what research calls these perpetual problems, which every couple has. And I think, to varying degrees, the first step is, can we come to an agreement about what these elephants in the room are? Can we get in the same reality here? Can we use the same language? Oftentimes I see people saying, maybe to themselves, consciously or unconsciously, here's what's up, and they start doing things about it. That might not be that helpful, because you might not have a full understanding of the dynamics that are leading to that problem. So first, I would just encourage couples to enter into a space of curiosity. I can't stress that enough. Be curious with yourself and the people involved. What's going on? Let's just hear this, and let's name these things. It's almost like people sometimes start writing an essay without first figuring out what's the intro paragraph, like what's the thesis. Let's figure out what is actually the problem, what's being worked on, and then you can think about, what do I need? In every complaint, there's a valid need, most likely.
You said being curious and naming it. And I think that's so important, because I know, just speaking for myself, what happens is I get a story going in my head. It could be something simple. The dishes weren't done and I have to make the lunch, and the lunchbox still has crusty peanut butter and jelly along the side. Not that this is real or has actually happened or anything. But I go in my head and it's this really long ranty story, and I feel my anger building. I feel that red hot feeling getting bigger and bigger and brighter inside. And it's just this perpetual loop in my head. It just starts repeating. And if we can get out of our head and get curious, okay, what do I need? And where is that lapse in communication between me and my partner? It can make a big difference. So that curiosity and naming it, and not just naming it to yourself, naming it to your partner. Right. Opening those lines of communication is really important.
Yeah. That's such a great example. I think everyone has gone through some version of that. I'm so glad you said that. As you were saying the story, I was like, yes, I do that too. I get that. I think we've all been there. And I think it just being curious, is this something that's happening for me regularly? When does that happen? Why? And is there something relational happening? Do I need some help? Do I need to ask for that? Like, let's try and just be curious with ourselves and other.
Something I found when Mark and I, my husband, went to couples therapy, we do periodically would go back and we refresh, because we found that we might hear the same thing and interpret it entirely different. And it blows my mind. I'm like thinking to myself, where did you get that from what I said?
Yep.
So it's been really helpful just to learn that about each other, that our brains are different and that we're going to say something that the other person could possibly take offense to, and you never meant it that way.
Totally. And I think what you just brought up there brings up just a key thing. A lot of couples therapy is that just, here's what I said. What did you hear? Okay, you heard it right, or no, not quite. Let me restate it. Let's try again. It's just reflective listening to make sure you're talking about the same thing with some sort of shared language, because you could think you're having the same conversation and you might not be. And part of the work is just slowing down to check.
Reflective listening and talking in a carved out time frame. I mean, how hard is it to find that time to sit down with your partner and have these conversations to clarify? We just gloss over it because our lives go on and we have to continue doing things. But with therapy, it's this hour, 50 minutes to an hour that you sit down, you have carved out with an objective listener with objective views that can help you figure things out. I'm all for it. I love it.
Yeah.
So
you're making a good point there too. I mean, part of what's helpful about couples therapy for people who are busy is you've paid for the hour, you're stuck in there for the hour, and you're gonna just have to talk through some things because we're busy. Sometimes if you don't set that aside in that way, it just won't happen.
Right.
Adrienne, I'm sure you've run into this where one partner is very into the idea of therapy and excited about it, and one is less so. How do you navigate that as a therapist?
That's a complicated answer. The best way to talk about that is in the context of an idea that I often put in a framework of every couple I work with, which is a pursuer and a distancer. In most relationships, someone could be a pursuer, which is somebody who gets a lot of their energy and sense of self from the relationship. They're going to talk in paragraphs. They're going to want to spend a lot of time together. Their biggest fear is separating, abandonment. And then a distancer is somebody who really wants to get some of their identity outside of the relationship. They might speak in short bits. They'll often say things like, maybe, I don't know. They're going to be more of a retreating type. Their biggest fear is losing their independence and being sort of taken away, sucked into the relationship. And you can see that in that dynamic, one person's behavior triggers the worst fear of the other, and you're in this loop. So trying to understand that loop for yourselves as a couple and how you fit into that and talking about that. I mean, even that example you gave, a pursuer is going to love therapy. They're going to want to go and talk and get closer. And a distancer is like, I don't want to talk this much. I don't want to get closer. This is encroaching upon my autonomy. And maybe trying to help people understand that so that the pursuer can maybe get some hobbies outside of the relationship, get comfortable having alone time, so that it can soothe the distancer, and have the distancer reliably build some time together so that they can soothe the pursuer. But just helping couples understand that is, I think, a crucial part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very important. Yes. You did mention something I wanted to touch on really quickly, that you pay for the hour. And that brought up the thought of, what if you're unable to pay for therapy, or perhaps you don't have health insurance or whatever it may be? Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, that's complicated. There are resources. There's an organization called Open Path where all sorts of therapists volunteer a couple sessions a week to see people on a sliding scale, sometimes pro bono. So I think Open Path is a great option. Most therapy practices have some interns that will be at a low fee. Any sort of education resources in town often have interns who are seeing people at a low fee or pro bono. NC State has that. A lot of therapists, I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of therapists, also might have a couple sliding scale spots. It's worth inquiring to talk through it with people. But it's hard because we therapists spend a lot of time and money getting our education and researching and going to these expensive trainings, and we need to make a living, but we also often are empathetic and want to help and want to offer. That's a complicated answer.
Oh, but you did great with it. It's important to have that information floating out there so that people understand where they can go for the resources if they're unable to have insurance pay for it, etc. So thank you for sharing that.
I so love our time with Adrienne. Here are my top 3 takeaways from part 1 of our conversation with her. 1, good communication is tough, possibly even more challenging when it's with someone we really love, who we've been in partnership with for a long time. As humans, we have a tendency to make assumptions about our partner or loved one. Because we know them so well, this is only natural. But it's important to remember that when you are with someone for a long time, you will both change. If a relationship is going to last, you have to find a way to change together and to stop making those assumptions about how the other will respond. You have to keep getting to know who your partner is now, not who they were when you first met them. 2, in any long-term relationship, it can be easy to get stuck in certain patterns, or what Adrienne calls perpetual problems. These are the issues that show up again and again within your relationship. As Adrienne says, in every complaint, there's most likely a valid need not being met. It's our job as a partner in our relationship to get curious with ourselves and others. Why does this issue keep showing up? What need isn't being met on both sides? We must think about our issues relationally, because every problem that emerges comes from the interplay between people. How can we approach the situation differently? 3, there are a whole lot of myths when it comes to therapy in general and couples therapy in particular. Whether a couple is going to therapy to work on issues in the bedroom or because they are dealing with something like communication struggles, it can be hard to move past a lot of the stigma and misperceptions we've developed in our society around therapy. It can be helpful to remember that a therapist is a trained observer. They are not there to judge you or your relationship, but rather to act as an impartial outsider that can help you navigate the issues of your relationship that you are so immersed in. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Adrienne. Next week, we will share part 2 of our conversation, where we dive into how to talk to your kids about sex and how to navigate mismatched libidos in a relationship. I promise this is a conversation you won't want to miss.
High five, friend. We've enjoyed hanging out with you. Follow us so you're the first to know when we drop a new episode.
If you've enjoyed your time with us, let us know by leaving a review. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, stay true to you.